I'm Bo, and welcome to the Transcript. Today we discuss GoBerry's reopening, Real Talk watches Oscar winner Anora, Student Art Spotlight hears from a new individual, Schoolyard Scoop learns what's in people's backpacks, and we learn about NHS's students' celebration of Ramadan.
On Tuesday, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko was sworn in for his 7th term. Often called Europe's last dictator, Lukashenko recently marked 3 decades in power and won re-election with 87% of the vote. In other news, on Wednesday, a federal appeals court decided to not lift an order blocking the Trump administration from deporting Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. These deportations were originally enacted by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, signed into law by President John Adams. In local news, on Sunday, a barn caught fire in Granby. Although the fire was put out in less than an hour, the barn and all of its contents were lost. I'm Michael Torno, and thanks for watching.
March 1st marked the beginning of Ramadan, a sacred time for Muslims dedicated to fasting, prayer, self-discipline, spiritual reflection, and community. Recently, the NHS administration announced the ability for students to use room 114 for prayer. We spoke to students and community leaders to talk about the importance of Ramadan.
Ramadan is 9th month in the Islamic calendar, which is a month of fasting and prayer, for the purpose of purification of yourself, transformation of yourself, reflection, introspection, thinking about your life, where you're going, what you need to do. So just like in Lent, all of these things are supposed to happen in the Catholic faith. That's what happens in Islam. The fasting is to bring you closer to God, to inculcate a spirit of obedience to God, to His orders, to His commands, so that we have a world which is full of compassion and kindness and consideration for each other. And the purpose is to remind ourselves that a life that is lived in obedience to the divine commands is a life which is full of grace. Celebration is when we break the fast each evening, we usually sit together with the family, we eat together with the family. Might not happen normally because people are at work at different times, but in Ramadan they make a special effort to be at home and to eat together as a family. And mosque is a very central, very powerful, very important role it plays in the community. Actually, I feel sad because the fasting is something we look forward to for the whole year.
Ramadan is a holy month in the Islamic lunar calendar where Muslims actively tap into their spirituality, increase their prayer, increase their acts of good deeds, and also fast from sunrise to sunset each day throughout the entire month, avoiding food, drinks, sexual acts. The significance of fasting in Ramadan is to try to deepen your connection with God. So challenges in Ramadan, aside from being caffeine deprived and not having coffee, obviously sometimes feeling the hunger in the mid-afternoon time before the evening sunset. I think those are very common challenges. Just trying to build stronger habits to become healthier person, to become a more spiritual person. The celebrations in Ramadan are pretty cultural. A lot of people like to come together and host gatherings to break your fast together. Mosques play a vital role, especially in Ramadan. There's an increased sense of community, of gathering, of building power together, networking, and supporting other charities that maybe come and do presentations at the mosque. So people really value their mosques and their communities.
The challenges are obvious. Hunger, communal feasting is really important. I came and saw that there's a prayer room that they've assigned for in the Ramadan, and it made me so happy because everywhere else it was such a problem. I couldn't go in the afternoon. That's when we have prayer time, and I'm so happy. Thank you. It's awesome. NHS, wonderful.
The month of Ramadan takes place between March 1st to March 30th. We hope this month of self-reflection and prayer brings peace to everyone who celebrates Ramadan. I'm Heba, and thanks for watching.
Over the past few years, many storefronts in downtown Northampton have become vacant. One of these losses to the community was Go-Berry and Cream. In 2022, Alex and Molly Feldstein sold the Amherst location to Surinam Kalsa and Aaron Buford and closed the Northampton location. Now, co-owners Kalsa and Buford are opening a new location in Northampton. This week, the Transcript spoke to Go-Berry and the Chamber of Commerce to get to the bottom of this delicious conspiracy.
When Go-Berry closed in 2022, it was heartbreaking, not just for us here at the Chamber, but for the city and all the patrons and community members who love Go-Berry. It was a destination for so many kids, young and old alike, including myself. And it was, in the perfect location and what I like to call that intersection as the gateway to downtown Northampton. So to see it close was heartbreaking, but at the same time, we were just coming out of the pandemic and a number of businesses were surprisingly opening up.
What sparked my decision to partner with him and open up the Northampton location was just hearing from people over the years about how much they love Go-Berry and knowing how much I love Go-Berry, thinking that there was an opportunity if things really came together to work collaboratively to reopen the business and bring back something to Northampton that I know people have been waiting a long time for its hopeful return.
I hope the reopening will bring more traffic back into downtown. It'll create jobs. I understand that a lot of people get their first jobs at places like Go-Berry, and it'll just improve the vitality of our offerings downtown.
One of the things that we heard was just how much people really liked having the option to have a light treat that supported that supports local farms, local workers, and is locally owned. People were ready to have a business like that back in their community. The location will differ from the previous iteration of it in that it's literally in a different place. So it's a little closer to Smith College. It's at 207 Main Street across from the town hall. The previous location was down by CVS on Main Street. So I think the parking situation will be different. It's a smaller, cozier feel. We wanted to kind of have a space that felt warm. And then the flavor offerings have just changed over time. It is one of those places as just a frozen dessert where people walk in happy and they leave happy.
The new Go-Berry location will be at 207 Main Street and is scheduled to open in April. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back to Real Talk.
This week, we watched the Oscar award-winning film, Anora.
The movie is about a young exotic dancer from New York who marries into a wealthy, high-class Russian family and watches as her life falls apart. It stars Mikey Madison, Paul Weisman, and Yuri Borisov. Let's get into the review.
Okay, so starting with plot, it really showcases how young adults can be very reckless, especially the male star. His character is extremely entitled. The way he treats people who are
lower than him.
Deems below him is kind of not great. Like a 4 out of 5.
I think I give it a 4 out of 5. It was very emotional, it was very stressful. Like the fight scenes were kind of crazy. It was a lot to watch, but it was really good.
I really liked it, honestly. I thought the plot was really good. It was really interesting, and it was really very well paced. And I liked how it showed how it was for Anora after a night, the awkwardness that you feel while you're in there. The competition between the other girls was really interesting to see how it's they're all doing the same job, but it's not as simple as you would think.
Okay, so for cinematography, I give it a 3.5 to 4 out of 5. The lighting for certain scenes is very important. The way it really influences the scene. Sometimes if there's too much going on, the lighting's kind of bright and harsh, and that kind of says how you're feeling.
I think I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 to a 4. But I did notice throughout the process of the movie, earlier on to the movie, it was the most action was happening. It was very purple and pink and bright. And then towards the middle or the end when the actual conflict between Anora and Vanya was happening, in his penthouse it was blue. To make it seem more somber and more sad. The cinematography was definitely not the main focus of the movie. I feel like the storyline was more important than what the camera was picking up.
I agree with that, but I would say solid 3 out of 5.
Overall, I think we all give the movie a 4 out of 5.
Shout out Mikey Madison for her Oscar. I know that there was a lot of controversy around the movie that they didn't have an intimacy coordinator.
Ooh, tea.
If you've seen the movie, you kind of see the scenes that's going on, and when there's not an intimacy coordinator there, kind of like these are aggressive scenes, and there's no one guiding you, and there's no one telling you that's too much, you need to go slower, you need to do this, you need to do that. There was no one there.
This movie is kind of about like her being like exploited as a worker, and you kind of watch
And they got the girl being exploited in the movie.
yeah, like the actress herself is being exploited.
Tune in next week for a special April Fool's Take Aurora's episode.
Bye!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Schoolyard Scoop. This week we went around and asked your favorite teachers if they have any questions for not only students, but for each other.
If you could ask Mr. Paquette any question, what would it be?
If I could ask Paquette anything, I would ask him, what's it like to raise 2 boys?
It's pretty mellow, right? Rumor has it that boys are like wild and crazy, and mine aren't wild and crazy. I'm a bad parent. I'm trying to teach them to take risks. I encourage risk-taking behavior.
If you could ask Miss Pearl any question, what would it be?
If she could travel to any spot in the world and like stay there for a while, where would it be?
Oh my God, so many potential answers. All of them are warm. Thailand would be one, New Zealand would be one, and probably like, I've never spent any time in Puerto Rico. I'd love to go to Puerto Rico.
And if you could ask Mr. Moylan any question, what question would it be?
I would ask him if he thinks that his students think that he's funny. No shade, Mr. Moylan, no shade.
I think all my students find me funny, but if you ask them, I think only 50% would admit it.
Would your answer change if you knew that we were going to go interview your students?
Only 20% would actually admit it.
I see.
Is Mr. Moylan funny?
No.
If you could ask Mr. Anderson any question, what would it be?
If you had to rob a bank and you had to pick one teacher from the school to be your getaway driver, who would it be?
I think I'm gonna go with Jeremy Whalen because I feel like a van is a really great getaway car, and if we've got a lot of, bags of money, we're gonna want to throw them in a van real quick.
And if you could ask Mr. Parent any question to be answered on the transcript, what would it be?
If we had a getaway car from a bank robbery, what would be the easiest way out of the student staff parking lot?
The easiest way to get out would probably be, I don't know, down Riverside Drive and then hide out at Mainsfield or something.
And if you could ask Susan Dillard any question to be answered on the transcript, what would it be?
If she had to teach anything other than music, what would she teach? And why?
I would teach world language, specifically Spanish. I have always been interested in learning more foreign languages. I could not teach it now by any stretch, but I've always said I wish I had gone abroad more and just learned another language, and Spanish would be the one.
Thank you so much for watching the Schoolyard Scoop. We hope you learned more about your favorite teachers and who they are as people. Make sure to tune in next week to find out what the scoop will be.
Thanks for watching the transcript. NHS, in partnership with Mass Hire, is hosting our first career fair on April 17th during Period 1 and Flex in the gym. It will be open to all 11th and 12th graders during Period 1 and all other students during Flex. Guests include Lucky's Tattoo and Piercing, Steve Lewis Subaru, Noble Paws Canine Training, and Northampton Fire Rescue. Talk to your Period 1 teacher if you are interested in attending, or sign up for Flex in MyFlex Learning.
We're talking about the transcript.